Hello and welcome to this edition of the program. I am Imonia Marere. Within less than a year into the life of new administrations at state level, some states in the country have been witnessing topsy-turvy relationships between former and present governments. This is not exactly unexpected, as current administrations settle into office and come face to face with the realities and the enormities of the tasks before them. Feathers are bound to be ruffled. Some of these sour relationships may carry personal imprimatur, but some others may be informed by the economic health of such states. On Tuesday, the Kaduna State House of Assembly set up a 13-man ad hoc committee to investigate the financial transactions, loans, grants, and other project implementations of the state between 2015 and 2023. This was the 8-year period of the administration of Nasir El-Rufai as governor of the state. The action of the state legislature was sequel to the disclosure by the state governor, Uba Sani, on March 28, 2024, at a town hall meeting, that the finances of the state are burdened by an inherited huge debt profile. The borrowings included $587 million, 85 million naira, and 115 billion naira in contractual liabilities, all incurred by the preceding administration. The governor lamented that these obligations were impacting negatively on the government's ability to pay workers' salary, not to talk of developmental projects. In setting up the investigative committee, the State House of Assembly said it was to ensure accountability and transparency of government funds and how the loans and grants obtained were spent. It mandated the committee to invite notable personalities that served during the period, including contractors, to explain how the loans and grants were spent. The committee has just 1 month to carry out its assignment. Now, however, the move by the State Assembly is being interpreted differently by various interest groups. While some think it is an exercise directed at the immediate past governor, others say it may not go far enough in unraveling what mismanagement may have taken place during the previous administration. The opposition People's Democratic Party, for instance, is advocating for the setting up of a judicial commission of inquiry. Some others also think that the State Assembly is not properly equipped to do a thorough and independent job of this probe. Now, against the backdrop of available data, we show that Kaduna State's debt profile ranks second only to that of Lagos State out of the 36 states of Nigeria. So how far can the State Assembly go? Are there any political motives behind the legislative inquiry? Now, where was the legislature in the first place when the loans in question were taken during those last 8 years? Well, I'm joined in the studio by Honorable Yusuf Mugu, who is a member of the Kaduna State House of Assembly representing Kaura constituency, and he's also the House of Assembly public joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us is Honorable Henry Mara. He is the chairman, House Committee on Information, Non-Governmental Organizations, and Kaduna State House of Assembly. Thank you so much, Honorable Mara, for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, to kick off our discussion, let's take a listen to this report by our correspondent, Abimaje Moses.
The 13-member committee was formed in response to the Kaduna debt profile amounting to $587 million and another 85 billion naira along with 115 contractual liabilities. This development follows a town hall meeting with stakeholders and the public led by Kaduna State Governor Ubasani, addressing the state's financial situation. The Kaduna State House of Assembly is establishing the committee to investigate the methods employed in obtaining the loans, as well as the status of projects abandoned by contractors within the state.
Findings on 3 issues: approvals of all the debts, appropriated funds for the projects, and other finances related to the state's social infrastructure.
Speaking to journalists after the plenary session, House Committee Chairman on Public Accounts, Mugu Yusuf, emphasized the need for this investigation given its public interest.
So by the time we verify through this powerful committee, lucky enough that the Speaker and all members have accepted to constitute, we'll find out to know the position of things. And so that if anybody is involved, whether individual, whether organization, or contractors or contracts are awarded and they are not done properly, we will definitely recommend for sanctions and for refund of all money, regardless of whoever is involved.
Then we're not accusing anybody. But all we are saying is that you cannot, before you collect loan or before they give you loan, you will tell them what you want to use the loan for. And then you cannot collect that loan and then the job is not done and people keep quiet.
The committee has been tasked with submitting its report within 1 month. Abimaje Moses, AIT News, Kaduna.
All right, let's go into our discussions now. And like I said earlier on, I'm here in the studio, Honorable Yusuf Mugu, who is a member of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, in fact, the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, and he represents Kaura constituency in the state. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Honorable Henry Mara, who is chairman of the House Committee on Information, Non-Governmental Organizations, and Development Partners. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Let me begin with you, Honorable Yusuf. In that report that we just saw, you described the 13-man committee as a powerful committee. What exactly do you mean? Is every committee in the House not powerful? Or why is this different?
Thank you very much. Our listeners, I'm happy to be here. The question as to what makes the committee powerful is because of the sensitive assignment they are expected to, exercise. It is powerful because of the matter that has led to the, composition of the committee itself, where issue of loans, money, expenditure, and the outcry of the public, including the town hall meeting by His Excellency, the Governor of Kaduna State, where he cried out of the huge sums of money that are hanging on the state as loans, and so for a committee that would carry such an assignment, it has to be powerful, it has to be sensitive, it has to be a committee that will be carefully selected to do the needful, because at this stage, the committee is expected to be a very, very objective, umpire, since it is, we don't want to call it allegations, but these are, I'm sure, facts and figures are stated by the current governor of the indebtedness of the state, which you all know, second to Lagos. But Lagos has an advantage because they have all the revenues. But in Kaduna State, I don't see us like Lagos having such revenues to overcome the huge sums of loans to be paid, I don't know, perhaps by our grandchildren or great-grandchildren.
Mm. You were the mover of the motion that led to the setting up of this committee.
Yes.
Now, were you put up to it, or you were simply doing your legislative duty?
No, nobody at all. Informed by the presentation of His Excellency during the town hall meeting on the 28th March, informed by the fact that I am a second-timer and that some of those things happened when we were there, informed by the experience I've gathered as a legislator within the last maybe 6 years now, or 5 as the case may be, because I served for 4 years. I'm now in my second tenure. Nobody, and bearing in mind that I'm the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, whose responsibility is to ensure accountability and transparency of all monies coming into the state, because to interest you to know that all the Auditor General of the state, Auditor General local government, and all other accounting officers, the Accountant General and the Commissioner of Finance, all that they put together at the end of the day come to my table for vetting, for decisions and implementation of such decisions of the House. I therefore have privy information to have passed through or scanned through some of the books of the annual reports of the Auditor Generals of the state, and have seen a lot of perhaps the lapses and the huge debt that is on the state. I therefore was moved by the fact that there shouldn't be a better member of the assembly, although anybody could have done that, but then I'll be failing my responsibility as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. This has to do with public funds. It's public accounts, public funds. So anything to do with public funds of the House, if I did not react, then it means I'm failing my responsibility. So this is purely a legislative exercise. Remember that whichever ministry, department, or agency or person that the assembly has powers to either appoint or to either apportion money or appropriate money, it means the House by law have every reason to investigate when such monies are appropriated, either judicially utilized or not. But like I am saying, this is an investigative committee. So we wait to see the outcome of the committee and the result that will come out there.
Okay, let me put the question a bit differently. This probe that has been initiated by the House of Assembly, is it doing so independently, or it is doing so against the backdrop of some measure of instigation from outside the Assembly? Is it a purely independent initiative of the Assembly and an affair of the Assembly?
I have, as a House Committee Chairman on Information, I have received several phone calls from people asking whether we are being influenced by certain individuals or the presidency. But it is not so. When you live in Kaduna, you will see for yourselves. You are driving around the streets of Kaduna, so many abandoned projects everywhere. People cannot move freely. And then you begin to imagine these roads were supposed to be built by monies collected, and these monies have been collected. So why are these roads not in place? These are the questions that our people ask all the time. And as legislators, this thing did not start on Tuesday. It started before we went on recess, the Easter break. During the Kuriga kidnap, and then there were several kidnapping attempts almost on a daily basis in Kajuru local government. We asked questions on the floor of the House. Where are the security equipments the former government bought? They invested over 28 billion to buy these gadgets. They claim they have drones, they have interceptors, and all manner of equipment they have bought. And then there has never been a day when we hear they intercepted a call between the kidnapper and the victim so that they would make any arrest. Kuriga students were kidnapped. We did not see any drone footage to show that, okay, these drones we bought, this is what it is helping us to do. So we started asking questions. Where are these equipment? And it metamorphosed to what happened on Tuesday and partly influenced the decision by our colleague here to move that motion. As a matter of fact, we all have it in mind. But the way he went about it took all of us by surprise. And that is just about the way to go. When you are representing people, you should be able to provide answers to their questions. And that is what we are doing. We are not being influenced by anybody. And then it may look like it's a probe, but I call it a fact-finding mission. Maybe at the end of our findings, there may be no cause for alarm. But I bet you there are so many things that will be unraveled.
Yeah, if you recall, I don't know if you are also a returning member of the State House of Assembly, but in 2016, the Kaduna State government signed into what was then known as the Open Governance Partnership. Right. Now, so 7 years later, we're beginning to conduct investigation into how public funds were spent, how loans were taken, and probably not deployed in the appropriate manner. What went wrong?
Well, as a matter of fact, during the time of Malam Nasir El-Rufai in office, he intimidated virtually everyone in the state. He's a very smart man. Before the eyes of the public, he looks like a procedural man. He looks like somebody that plays by the rule of the game, but he has never done that. Look at all the court cases against him. There has never been one he respected. He doesn't have respect for rule of law. Now, talking about open government partnership, on paper, yes, it is there. And probably he signed all those documents so that he could have access to these loans. But he so intimidated everybody in the state that nobody has the wherewithal to challenge whatever he was doing. He had the liberty, he had the leverage, he had every opportunity to execute virtually everything he wanted to do. If you had listened to the Speaker of the Ninth Assembly that day, he claimed that they forged his signature to obtain some of these domestic loans. That was how bad it is. But it would not even be proper, but of course, it would not even be proper to start probing the government that is still in power. So when we came on board in the 10th Assembly, it became clear for us that, okay, this man has come, collected all these monies put together, and then we're only talking about the loans he took, several hundred millions of dollars. Nobody's talking about the internal generated revenue of the state. Nobody's talking about the money allocated by the FAC. Nobody's even talking about the assets he sold. Virtually every landed property belonging to Kaduna State government in that state was sold during his tenure. So he had so much money at his disposal. Now, if you have this kind of money, sir, let me be honest with you, sir. This present governor has been a friend to Malam Nasir El-Rufai. But if truly you have the state at heart, any other person, even his son Bello, would have challenged, would have done exactly what is going on now, or rather support this fact-finding mission, because the financial recklessness is just too much to be ignored. Let me help you. After all this money is put together, and then you drive around the streets of Kaduna State, you see abandoned projects everywhere, it calls for questions. And there are several other things too to be mentioned. But as time goes on, and as the committee does its job, a lot will be unveiled.
So let me come back to you, Honorable Yusuf Mogo. You were a member of the Ninth Assembly.
Ninth Assembly, yes.
Yes. Now, and I mean, procedurally, the State Assembly ought to have approved of the taking of these loans and grants and all that went down. What happened? Did the State Assembly neglect its duties and responsibilities at that time, or did it actually approve of these loans?
Well, depending on the sources of the loans taken, be it informed to this House that loans are in the exclusive list of things a governor can do if he can only get the approval of the National Assembly members of his state. However, guidelines shows that the State Assembly must be consulted, there must be a meeting, and there must be a resolution. That resolution is the instrument from the House of Assembly that is supposed, whoever is given the loan, to be assured that the House of Assembly is carried along. And the reason for this investigation is also to confirm whether indeed there were such resolutions. As far as I'm concerned, the loans are many. You hear of Nexim, Indian Exim loan, you hear of French development loan, you hear of federal government approved loan, you hear, there are so many loans. But if at the end of the investigations, there were resolutions duly signed by the leadership of the Assembly, in that circumstance, we say then perhaps we too sign either in good faith and expecting that the loans collected will be properly utilized. It's one thing to be concerned, it's one thing to be carried along, it's another thing that what you have done is misapplied. But at the moment, I don't want to apportion blame. The purpose of the investigation or putting even a committee is supported by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 103. We are empowered as a House of Assembly to put in a committee to investigate any matter. Number two, Section 128 also empowers us to invite anybody and to investigate in fact, 128 and 129. 129 is talking of evidence. Call anybody, and 128, the power to investigate. So what we are doing is constitutional to really unravel whether we were actually the cause of the problem, whether we gave in the resolutions that warranted the loans. But it's one thing if we gave the resolutions. Another thing is that were all other processes followed accordingly? Number two, if the loans were acquired, were the monies brought for appropriation? Because any money is, again, a constitutional thing that any money coming into the state must be appropriated by the House of Assembly. Were all this money we're talking about appropriated?
To your knowledge, as a former member, as a member of the Ninth Assembly, to your knowledge, were these monies approved or were they appropriated?
This is the crux of the matter. Remember that we are talking of the regime of 2015 to 2023. I was not here by 2015. I joined in the assembly in 2019. And a lot of things would have been done in the past that I cannot claim knowledge of. But whatever it is, with due respect to the public, is that even if we appropriated this money for specific projects, where the money really used for the projects in the assembly and the working of the House and the working of the state. A governor may say we want to buy 10 cars. Yes, we appropriated money for 10 cars. And that is why we have right of oversight. What we are doing here now is oversight. Were the 10 cars purchased? If we go on oversight and find out that only 5 were purchased as against 10 as proposed to us, of course, the budget is made by the executive and then approved by the assembly. If we go there and find out that only 5 cars were bought, we have reason to ask questions. Where are the other 5? And that's exactly what we are doing. The work and the exercise of oversight, which is one of the major functions of a legislature, is what we are doing. So, sir, with due respect, if we gave in our resolutions, assuming we gave in the resolutions, if we appropriated, assuming we all appropriated what we are saying, and then if the money was used for the purpose it was meant to be, to be used for, the exiting government of it would be clear that actually they met all. But if in the event of investigation we discover that there was misappropriation or misapplication of all these monies, then people will have questions to answer. And all we are saying is that since there's public outcry, since His Excellency on his own can come out, despite what my colleague have said, the friendship, the relationship, to cry out that he is, faced with heavy indebtedness of the state, it calls for concern. We cannot sit as an indolent assembly and be watching. We all need to come up and say, let's listen to His Excellency, crying about what is happening and that he may not even be able to pay salaries.
Honorable Henry, let me bring you back to the issue of the open government partnership and reforms. That was originally intended to tackle corruption and to promote transparency. How much of that do you think has happened or is happening now, even in the present dispensation in Kaduna State?
Well, as far as I know, for the little time I've spent in the House, like during the last budget presentation, we opened up the procedures to development partners. They were all there, we sat down together, analyzed the budget together, and we saw it. As a matter of fact, from time to time, they do write-ups to check. But as I mentioned to you earlier, during the time of the last administration of Madam Nasir El-Rufai, I don't think people had the liberty or the guts to ask some certain questions. Because when you do that, the next thing you will see, they will come to your house with tenement rate issues or all manner of bills that you have not paid, and then they give a very short time. If you have not done that, they demolish your house, threatened everybody, boxed everybody. Nobody could ask any questions. But from what is happening now in the state and with this new governor that we are having, a lot is changing. As a matter of fact, sir, today we had the guts to do what we are doing because he gave us the green light. If he had not given us that green light, probably we wouldn't have pushed so much. The last time we attempted to do this, the whole house ended in chaos. But when he came out, when he equally saw that this thing is not something that can be hidden, It has to be brought out to the public to know. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't have plenty of options. Because when he is not able to pay salaries and pensions and all that, it will become glaring that, oh, we are in serious trouble. So before we get to that point, he would rather come out and say it by himself. And I want to believe he is more transparent in dealings and handling of things than the former administration, at least for now.
All right. A lot that needs to be said. And of course, since your action last Tuesday, there's been a lot of reactions to this, both for and against. And one of those reactions has come from the major opposition party in your state, the PDP, that says, look, the House of Assembly may just be doing this in order to cover up. And that what is required is a judicial commission of inquiry. How do you respond to that?
Well, everybody has a role to play. This fact-finding or investigation does not stop, the bug does not stop on our table. We are doing what we are supposed to do. And if the state still feels there's a need to set up that judicial panel of inquiry, it is still okay by us. But as far as we are concerned, we are doing what our people want us to do. We are doing what the public wants us to do, so that at the end of the day, they will have answers to the so many questions that we have on ground. So it will not be fair. It will not be fair to the people of the state, sir. If after so much money was pulled together during that time in the state, and then the state is still looking the way it is, we will not be fair to the people. Because as it stands now, in the next 10, 15 years, except if a miracle happens somewhere, these projects cannot be done. Talking about variation, probably the amount that was voted for this project at that time by now, with inflation, probably has doubled. And then where is the money? Now, if you take a loan and buy a property and you are living in it and you are paying it, you see, you have that satisfaction that at least you are enjoying that thing. But if at the end of the day, after you are paying so much to service this loan, and then that thing you are supposed to enjoy, you're not enjoying it, it becomes a serious problem, sir. Of course, it becomes a serious problem. And then that is just about infrastructure. I will tell you that they left over 40,000 pension liabilities. So there is so much poverty in the state. Everywhere people are crying. And then when they are crying, and then they have to tell them that, okay, this is what is going on. People have to be patient. Things will be, as things improve. So that is the situation we find ourselves. So as many, in fact, as a matter of fact, so many people have started contacting us in the assembly with their own evidence. So as many investigative panels are set up to help us achieve this in the state, our own is to see that we get answers to the questions people are asking. Whether through the judicial panel of inquiry or whatever it is, we welcome the idea.
Now, put differently, Honorable Mugo, you are chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. And there are those who are arguing that the assembly as it is today is not properly or well equipped to carry out this very sensitive and technical investigation. And that perhaps maybe you should have ceded it to another committee or maybe another panel that has the technical wherewithal to do a thorough job.
Well, I don't know what they mean by we don't have. Yeah, I agree. Because in the event that probably you're looking for a professional QS, quantity surveyor to look at the quantity of work and whatever. Assuming you are looking for a professional accountant, a chartered accountant to also help in the books, because most of us are not accountants. Assuming you are looking for an engineer or a builder, a building engineer or whatever, to also look and say, look, this work was poorly done, or this project or that contract was poorly constructed, I will agree that we lack the technical know-how because we may not have all these experts in the house. But I want to assure you that what we are doing now, even if it turns out to be a preliminary investigation, that may now, through the recommendations of the committee at the end of the day, calls for the technical committee or whatever commission of inquiry you're talking about. It will be all about the executive. But whatever we do, we are not a court of, competent jurisdiction. We are only playing some kind of quasi-judicial roles as parliamentarians. His Excellency and his team might, in their wisdom, haven't looked into what may be the outcome of the investigation committee of the House, may decide to go in for that. But for now, let us not undermine the kind of evidences, if there are, or otherwise, that the committee may come out with.
Let me ask this question, because this must be playing in the minds of very many people. The former governor or the former administration and the current administration are products of the same political party. And so the question is being asked, is this all about political vendetta? Have they fallen out? And that's why the assembly is doing what it's doing?
Well, I don't want to believe they're falling out, but even if it is that, my people will always tell you that the tongue and the teeth are living within the same cavity. There are instances where the teeth may bite the tongue, but it does not separate them. I don't want to believe there's even anything wrong with, between the two, but that the current government, the governor, have seen that he is in problem and there was need to cry out, and he has cried out. As an organ of government, an arm of government, the legislature, we need to come to his aid to say, you have cried out, let us see whether there can be a solution. And the solution can only come if the huge sums of money have been scattered away by people that didn't do what is right. Bring back the money. You can see that a solution will be coming back to the state. We will reposition the state. The financial situation will be restructured. And then people might begin to benefit from what up initial would appear they would have been denied. Therefore, I don't want to see like a fallout. After all, in politics, there's no permanent friend, no permanent enemies. It could also just be that it's a coincidence. And let me also educate the public that people have accused the current governor, Senator Obasani, that he was part and parcel of those who approved the loan. I may not speak for him, nor defend him, but I want to assure you, if he was convinced, for instance, by the explanation of the then administration on why the loans were necessary, he might have done that in good faith. And if there's betrayal of that faith, he believed the money were to be used, why won't he cry? If he doesn't seem to even have any solution. If you check the breakdown of the FAC allocation of February this year, Kaduna State, of all states, appear to have received the least net FAC allocation, 3 point something. What can that do?
Why is that so?
Because of the loans, deduction, direct deductions from source, from FAC, from the Federation account. Those monies were deducted to begin to service some of the loans. In fact, some of the loans have a moratorium. I mean that you have a period within which you should start paying. There are some, when I look into the books, they will tell you they will take about 30 years. Some you see 15 years. Some you see 10 years. And moratorium means that I'm collecting this loan. I want to invest in maybe palm tree farming. You don't plant palm tree that year and begin to harvest. So you ask for a period within which the palm tree will be matured. And you expect that within the period of maturity, you can now start harvesting and selling and begin to pay. So it means then that the administration that must have collected the loans may not be the one to even service the loan. That moratorium, if it is 5 years, maybe after 5 years, if it is 10 years after 10, then they begin to deduct. It means there are still more trouble in Kaduna State that will even go beyond the 4 years of Senator Uba. But if by God's grace, God gave him to spend 8 years maximum before leaving, I'm still telling that whoever is coming after him will still face the problem of this law. So it's a very serious matter. And that's what calls for a very powerful committee to look into it with a human face and critically come up with suggestions that will help the current and even future administrations of Kaduna State.
Is this committee, the ad hoc committee, is it a bipartisan committee of the House?
Well, in the House of Assembly, we operate as an entity, irrespective of party affiliations, all for the benefit of the people of the state. But usually there could be that sense of balancing, so that it do not look like maybe the opposition, which we belong to, is trying to make rubbish of the government. So it's actually adequately represented, but our attention is not being paid, or we don't go through along religious or party lines. No, we operate as a single entity.
Okay. Let's go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be talking about what the Assembly is doing at the moment to support the administration of Senator Obasani. Stay with us.
We need is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria, which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics, and power on AIT.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us, People, Politics, and Power. And we are focusing on developments in Kaduna State, Northwest Nigeria, where the State House of Assembly has put in place a 13-member ad hoc committee to investigate or at least inquire into the finances of the state, particularly in terms of the loans that were taken by previous administration, which, as the governor put it, is now a big burden on the state. And my guests are Honorable Henry Mara. He is a member of the House of Assembly and actually the chairman of the House Committee on Information and Non-Governmental Organizations and Development Partners. He's joined by Honorable Yusuf Mogu, who is the chairman of the State House of Assembly Committee on Public Accounts. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
From what you know now, and at the end of this investigation or inquiry, as Honorable Mara want to put it,
Investigation, right.
do you think that the state government might be forced to also obtain loans for its own development projects and to carry on the smooth conduct of governance in the state?
Well, if that question is for me, I want to tell you that we have fears.
It's for you because you are the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee.
I don't think if I were a bank manager or director or the owner of a bank or a government or a head of a government of any country that Kaduna State will go to look for loan, that I will approve such a loan without looking at the condition and possibilities of payment. So even if the present administration is interested in taking any loan, can they pay the loan? Are we in position to pay the loan? Is our finances and the financial position of Kaduna? Remember, let me just tell you this. It sounds funny. We had, and that is why we're investigating, that even the IGR, Internal Generated Revenue of the state, was used as collateral to collect a loan from Zenith Bank. That money was take about 20 billion naira. And that's why when my colleague said that a lot of them will be unraveled, I agree with him. So if the IGR, which is supposed to be the stabilizing source of fund for the state, if all others are failing, is also now with Zenith Bank, by implication as a layman, I'm not an accountant, if you say as a collateral to collect a loan, it means all the revenue generated has to be taken to that bank until they have gotten what they are supposed to get either on a monthly basis or quarterly, depending on the arrangement, before anything up there is left. If nothing is left, then it will be interest of interest upon the loan for Kaduna State. So I don't foresee, unless otherwise, if borrowing agency and countries that are giving all will still reconsider and give us any rebate and create a chance or an opportunity. Otherwise, I don't foresee the government of Senator Obasani having a window of going for a huge loan like that or any other loan that will assist him. Perhaps he has to look outside the box and initiate some things that can bring money to the state. Perhaps we have to look, because in the past administration to the public, general public, know that there were all kinds of consultants brought into, even at the local government level. In fact, in my last audit exercise with the 23 local government of the state, some local government has zero IGR, internal generated revenue. figures. That was not looking good. It means such local government are not even supposed to be allowed to exist. Because in the absence of fact, federation account allocation money coming, it means such local government, it looked like, but of course it may not be their fault completely. Each local government chairman and council will tell you they are being frustrated because of the presence of money agents. They call them money agents. As consultants that were brought in the last administration to be collecting the money. As we are talking, we are now just trying to advise. Because the exercise I'm talking about just took place about a week or so ago. And those revelations were there. So unless we now say, look, for the state to bounce back, these money agents must go. And then
are they still there?
They are still there because the law, the tax codification law, or whichever law that brought them by the last administration have not been amended. Therefore, we need to do a lot of amendment of certain policies or laws that were enacted and that are now inimical to the progress of the state. Unless that happens, and I think the present administration, the executive must look critically to also liaise very well with the assembly to assist them get such bills, such laws or such policies that are not, financially, promoting the financial growth of the state to be looked into and be corrected so that both the local government and the state could have the revenues now, coming in to probably neutralize the current situation. Otherwise, there is trouble ahead.
So aside from allocation from FARC, and with a Nigerian regime that appears to be trapped in the claws of money agents, what are the other sources of income, of revenue for the state?
Well, to be fair to the last administration, they intended to return 10% of the IGR to these local governments. That is on paper. And that's why I told you that the last administration, they were very smart. They have a very wonderful presentation. When we collect this money, we're going to give you 10%. But go back and ask them. The last time they came for budget defense, it is only one local government out of the 23 that was able to assess that 10% IGR.
It was 6 million.
All the remaining local governments, nothing. It's just on paper that they're giving them, but they don't receive a dime. Well, a lot of time people are accusing this governor, President Ubasani, that he should concentrate on raising IGR and all that. If the former administration know how to raise IGR, then why did they go on a borrowing spree? Why did they sold every landed property that belongs to the state government? Now, as a matter of fact, we have been thinking, what other ways can we generate money from the state? Because it seems every door has been shut. So we keep praying for investors to come in, set up industries, set up companies, and end up paying tax. As a matter of fact, during the last administration, Coca-Cola that used to produce in Kaduna, they had to go because of the heavy tax. A lot of companies had to go. Now, we have to, I think, as part of what he is doing, because he has been everywhere, Qatari Foundation, trying to see how they can, because they were in Kaduna sometimes to build houses for less privilege and all that. He has been going to see how he can try to mop up support from outside and bring it in. But as for intergenerated revenue, it's going to be a serious problem because there is nothing left in the state, sir.
You know, Honorable Henry, Kaduna used to be an industrial hub, at least in the northern part of Nigeria. Are there any efforts being made now to return Kaduna to that status? Kaduna used to have a lot of industries, particularly industries that employed thousands and thousands of people. What is being done in that direction?
Well, the challenges in
the textile industries and all the others, the automotive industry, these were what Kaduna was known for.
Yes. When you drive around Kakuri Industrial Layout, you will see these textile industries lying fallow. But their challenges is beyond that. During the time of Goodluck Jonathan, a lot of effort were made through the then Vice President to see how they will bring back these industries to life. But it's looking like it is not going to be done anytime soon. As a matter of fact, bringing back these industries to Kaduna State is looking like the only option now we have to employ people and equally generate revenue for the state. Because the more company you have, the more they pay their taxes to the state and all that. And
which is what a state like Lagos State
is doing. Yes, so now we have to look at tax regulation laws, look at them, and see how we can make them friendly for investors to come in. Because if we don't bring in investors to come and invest in the state, I'm sorry, the way I see the state in the next 10 years, it may be worse off as it stands today. And all thanks to the partial subsidy removal. If this administration had not gone ahead to remove subsidy, by now Kaduna State would have been helpless. Because it is by the partial removal of subsidy that our FAC allocation even increased to the level it is now, that we have been able to service the loan we have taken. If not, probably would have just shut down that state and everybody goes his way. Even as it is now, we are struggling. Talk more of if the subsidy were not removed. So part of the support we normally give, we make resolutions in the House, is to encourage His Excellency to go all out and invite people, make the state friendly to investors so that they come in with money, invest in the state, so that the state will come back to life.
Do you see a situation, Honorable Mugu, where the steps you are taking now in the House may be challenged one way or the other to stop you from proceeding? And if that happens, what is what would be your response? What would be your forward plan?
Well, every arm of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary have their roles to play, even the wisdom of anybody. And I say anybody. He feels or who may feel that going to court to stop the process is the solution to the problem in Kaduna or making it worse. So may, but all I'm saying is that as a house, as an assembly, we are not doing anything illegal. I've quoted here that to constitute a committee is permitted and we are empowered, Section 103. To investigate, the power to investigate is in the Constitution 1999 as amended in Section 128, empowering the House to investigate. To look for evidence. We are also empowered in Section 129 to ask for evidence from anybody, either by oath, either by using the law enforcement to, either by someone, by any means if we want, including whoever must have served as number one citizen of the state, if they need be. But should anybody go to court to challenge what we are doing, well, we wait to hear what the judiciary may say, because it will be in their wisdom to determine as to whether, because they are the interpreters of the law, and whether what we are doing is illegal or is constitutional. If it is constitutional, then I doubt it much if any court would want to stop this process, because it would then mean that we are not looking for justice. It would then mean that we don't even want fairness in all we are doing. It would not mean that we are not bound by the rule of law, equality before the law. It will not mean that we don't believe in separation of powers, which empower the executive to execute, for us to make laws, and for the judiciary to interpret laws. So if all these are provided in the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended, each arm of government should be allowed to exercise what is lawful.
All right. As a final question, Honorable Mara, you must have at the back of your mind the historical antecedents of Kaduna State and especially the House of Assembly. Even from the Second Republic upon the Third and now the Fourth Republic. Is the House acting out of character in this regard right now? Or it is only upholding a culture that may have been there?
Thank you for this question. To start with, a lot of times people have an impression that the State House of Assembly are just rubber-stamped assembly. But when you come to Kaduna State is a cosmopolitan community where people from diverse backgrounds come up to make up the State House of Assembly. You know, Kaduna State have impeached Malari Musa before. Have rejected several commissioner nominees. In fact, we have probed a Shopee fund. The history of the state has shown that the Shopee fund that was provided during the time of Malari was probed. When we were not satisfied with the usage, we had to call for probe. In fact, it will even interest you to know that in this administration of Malo Obasani, a commissioner nominee for internal security was brought in before the assembly. We rejected it. It might interest you to know that. So we don't dance to the tune of anybody, but we're not doing that to victimize anybody. We are doing that to move the state forward. Our interest is for Kaduna State to be among the top 5 states in Nigeria that are making both economic and social developmental projects, so that we can come up with our shoulders and be proud of the state that we are part of.
Okay, Honorable Mugu, thank you so much for your time. Honorable Mara, thank you so much for your time.
You're
Kaduna is like many other states in Nigeria, it's a complex state.
It is.
And I'm just wondering how the legislature is handling these complexities and ensuring that ethnic, religious, and whatever cleavages are bridged in order to make Kaduna a much more peaceful entity than it has been for some time now.
Well, God would help us. Where we are doing our own at the human level, we expect divine intervention, but we will not sleep. We will not sleep, we work hard. We will do the needful, and that's what exactly we are doing. If we fail to do the needful and go to sleep and say, God may not be physical, He is there, we believe in Him, we trust in Him, it is in Him we trust, but we must do the needful. And so, regardless of our cultural, religious, and sectional differences, the present House of Assembly under the present leadership is making frantic effort to break those jinx that we shouldn't allow religion, ethnicity, nepotism, and the rest to put us apart. Why are we here? I'm a member of the opposition. The serving governor, even the president, the serving is on APC, the ruling party. Yet we are making effort. I'm supposed to maybe be laughing and be jubilating that the other party is failing and that they are in a seemingly clash or interest of conflict. But no, we are saying no, the state must move forward. We must put all our arsenals together to see the state moving forward. And that is why I am here. And that is why I am contributing. And that is why I'm advising. And that is why I'm playing my legitimate role as a legislator to see that the government of the current, Governor Senator Obasani moves forward. And that is where we belong to.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. I've been talking with Honorable Yusuf Mugu, who is a member of the Kaduna State House of Assembly. He represents Kaura constituency, and he is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of the House. Thank you so much for your time. And Honorable Henry Mara is the chairman, House Committee on Information, Non-Governmental Organizations, and Development Partners of the Kaduna State House of Assembly. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, sir.
That's our program for today. Please join us again. We'll bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.